Hey there, algebra students. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about graphing equations of the form f of x equals ax plus c. That plus c just tells us that we have a vertical translation. We're going to shift the parabola up or we're going to shift it down c units. And if it's a plus c, it's up, and if it's a minus c, well, it's down, right? So we want to start with this problem here. We need to graph g of x equals x squared plus 5, and then we need to compare it to the graph of f of x equals x squared. Now, if we don't even know where to begin, we can always make a table of values, and I'm going to start with -1. We'll have 0, 1, maybe I'll do 2 as well. Yeah. If I plug in 0 for x squared, 0 squared is 0, right? And 0 plus 5 is 5. So it's 0, it's 5. This -1, when I square a -1, it becomes positive, right? And so that would be a +1 plus 5, and so that would be 6. And +1 squared is 1 plus 5, which is 6. And 2 squared plus 2 squared is 4, right? And so 2 squared would be 4 plus 5 is 9. And so we're going to pull out these points. I'm going to start with 0, 5, 2, 4, 5. All right, there's my point, 0, 5. That's my vertex, right? That's what this plus 5 tells us. The graph has been shifted up 5 units. So our vertex is at 0, 5. -1, 6 is there. +1, 6 is there. And then 2, 9. So 6, 7, 8, 9 is there. And if we plugged in -2, 9, we would also get 9. And so if we want to graph these, we want to connect it with a smooth curve. And we can see that this is very much like the graph of f of x, except, well, f of x equals x squared. But if you remember, the graph of x squared goes through the origin. And we can see that this is a vertical translation up 5 units of the graph of f of x. All right, let's try another one. Let's make it a little more complicated. How about h of x equals negative 3x squared minus 2. Again, I want to start by making a little table of values. It's good to figure out, what's right around 0. And then we'll see if we need to do some more points. But let's start at 0. -3 times 0 squared, that will all be 0. -2 would leave us with a -2, right? And if we plugged in 1, -3 times 1 squared, well, that's still -3 minus 2 would be -5. And if we plugged in the -1 squared is +1. But we still have this -3, so -3 times 1, -3 minus 2, -5. Now, you might have realized this, but maybe not. This minus sign here tells us that the parabola is going to open down, right? It's going to be an upside down parabola. The 3 tells us it is a stretch, right? It's going to be a skinnier parabola. The u will be steeper than x squared. And this -2 means it's been shifted down 2 units. So if we're plotting these points, we've got 0, -2, so we'll plot that right there. -1, -5, 3, 4, 5, and +1, -5. And if I plugged in a 3, I think that would be off of my chart, and so we're just gonna connect those dots with a smooth curve and draw it like that. And like I said, this is, how does this compare to your original x squared parabola, right? How does it compare? It is a reflection in the x-axis. It is, here we'll write that, reflection in x-axis, followed by a, well, there's a translation down 2 units. There's also a vertical stretch. By a factor of 3. Yeah, translation down 2 units. You might call that a vertical translation down 2 units. You might just say translation down 2 units. Okay, that one was a little bit tricky, but let's move on. Another type of question in this lesson is to find the zeros of the function, and they give you a function. And we want to do this problem by first writing it down, but setting it equal to 0. Now, there are many ways, there are a couple ways to solve this, right? We need to find the zeros of the function. I would set it equal to 0 and solve for x, but we have to be careful about how we do that. We could factor it, or we could get the x squared by itself and then take the square root. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get the x squared by itself and then take the square root of both sides. So we'll subtract 16 from both sides, and we get -4x squared equals -16. And then I can divide both sides by -4. And then I would have x squared equals, well, what's -16 divided by -4? That would be a +4, and these 4's cancel, right? So then I need to solve for x. So we square root both sides. And when we do that, we get x equals plus or minus 2, right? Both +2 and -2 would make this original problem true. Okay, I hope that this helps you with your homework. I hope that you are all well. Stay well. We'll see you next time.